Hello and welcome to Total Health with Dr. Nick, where my purpose is to inspire, empower, and motivate you to live longer, healthier, and more abundant lives. In today's video, I've got an extremely important one this time, because this one literally can save your life, and that is the top 11 reasons why you're putting on belly fat. Now, I did a video on this before about how dangerous belly fat is, so go ahead and watch that if you get a chance. But belly fat is one of those things that is literally life-threatening, because not just from a standpoint of heart disease, your increased risk of cancer, diabetes, insulin resistance, but also too, when visceral fat is around your organs, this is absolutely life-threatening. So you want to make sure you watch this video to the very end, because I'm going to give you 11 tips, 11 things you're doing that may be causing this, and it may just save your life. So like I said, watch to the very end. And if this is something you're interested in and you like the video, make sure you like, you share, you comment, and subscribe. And make sure you click that little bell notification so you get notified every single time I put out a video. And also, too, if you'd like a little more help and you're in my keto group, make sure that you check out my keto course. It's in the description below. It is absolutely the most comprehensive course you will ever find on the internet regarding keto. And even if you're not in my keto group and you just want to avoid the belly fat, make sure you check out my course too. Anyway, let's jump on in. Number one, that is sugary foods and beverages. Now, this one sounds like an obvious one, but it's important to understand that you cannot get your calories from liquid sources. This is not a good way to do it, because it's not going to fill you up. And the problem is, so much of the sugar you're taking in is making up 30–40% of your calories for the day. In fact, in a study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation said this: in a controlled 10-week study, overweight and obese people who consumed 25% of the calories as fructose-sweetened beverages on a weight-maintaining diet experienced a decrease in insulin sensitivity and an increase in belly fat. Now, why? Because what's happening is your body becomes insulin resistant, and this is a huge factor when it comes to putting on belly fat, creating diabetes, and really just poor health overall. Anytime you become insulin resistant to where your body is so overwhelmed with the amount of sugar that you take in that your pancreas can't even keep up, and eventually gets to the point where you can produce insulin and your body's just not hearing it anymore. Your body is saying, what? I don't know. There's insulin out there? There's insulin outside the cells? Because the purpose of insulin is to get the sugar that's in your bloodstream inside your cells so that it can be used for fuel and burned. And if it's just sitting in your bloodstream because your body's not hearing insulin, this is not a good thing at all. Number two is fruit juice. Now, I know this probably goes hand in hand with the one I just showed, but a lot of times you just don't think about fruit juice. The problem with fruit juice is this. One, it is extremely high in fructose. Now, obviously, some of you are thinking out there, so what? What's the problem with that? I mean, fructose is made by God. It's a natural sugar. But the problem is this. It has to get processed through the liver first. So anytime your body takes in sugar in the form of fructose, your liver has to go to work to process it. Anytime your body starts to then store, okay, so it's going to store the sugar in your body in the form of glycogen in your liver and your muscle. Whenever you have excess, so your liver is all filled up, your muscles all filled up, you've got enough in storage, your body then has to turn it to fat. So that's what your liver is going to do. So important to understand, fructose is very different. It goes through the liver, and as a result, when your body gets full of glycogen and all the storage is up, your body has to convert it to fat. So fruit juice, even though you're thinking, well, this is natural, this is made by God, it is not good. Here's the other thing. The other problem with fruit juice is if you were to eat an orange, you'd probably eat one orange and be pretty full. You might have a second one, and that's about it. But when you have fruit juice, you're having literally 5, 6, 7, 8 oranges without the fiber to buffer it. So this is not a good place to be. Number three is alcohol. Now, I did a video on this because a lot of you out there are thinking, well, so what? I'll take some alcohol, and the clear alcohol in the liquors, and some of those are better, and yes, they are. They're better as far as lower calorie than your mixed drinks and wine and things like that. But the problem is, once again, your body perceives alcohol as a poison, so it has to go through the liver. Your liver is now at work trying to process this alcohol, because it is a poison to your body, and remove it from your system. Now, guess what? it's not then burning fat for fuel at that point. So if you're taking an alcohol thinking, okay, it's no big deal, this has only got a few calories because it's a gin or it's a vodka, it's a clear one, it's supposed to be better. The problem is when your body takes in alcohol, it is a poison, your liver has to process it, and as it's processing it, it's not burning fat. Fat burning stops, and as a result, storage starts. So definitely don't want that. Number 4, trans fats and bad oils. Now, what the food industry did a number of years ago, back in the 50s and so on, was to stabilize oils, they would add hydrogen to it. That's where they got the term hydrogenated or hydrogenated oils, however you like to pronounce it. When they did that, now it was spreadable, so you had things like butter and shed spread and things like that. Well, these are horrible fats, not to mention I did a video on industrial oils, the seed oils, and things like that, your vegetable oils. These are horrible, cause just insane amounts of inflammation, insulin resistance, and because it's inflammatory to the body, you're going to have massive, massive problems with having to process it rather than burning fuel. So, article in Obesity 2009 said this: dietary trans fatty acids are associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, which we know, and have been implicated in the incidence of obesity and type 2 diabetes mellitus. So, big problems with this. Trans fats are associated with many different types of disease processes, so don't take them in. In fact, like I said, go back and watch one of my previous videos I did on these industrial oils because of the harsh chemicals and the heat that they have to use to extract these oils. It makes them very, very dangerous and inflammatory and very also high in omega-6 fats. Next is inactivity. Now, this sounds like it's pretty obvious. I mean, if you're not moving, your body's not burning fat, pretty obvious, but here's what the research is saying about this. In an article published in American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, they said the group that watched more TV had almost twice the risk of severe abdominal obesity compared to the group that watches less TV. So I can't stress this enough. You have to keep moving, and so many times I tell this to my patients because you're sitting around and all day you're doing thumb exercises, or the exercise you get is from working to your chair or your couch to the refrigerator. That's the exercise you're getting. You've got to be moving a lot more than this because muscular movement's going to be burning calories also. So the sedentary lifestyle, I know it seems obvious, but sedentary lifestyle absolutely increases your risk of severe abdominal obesity. Just not some, but severe. Next, not enough protein. Now, for some of you who are my viewers who are watching and you're on the keto diet, okay, a lot of times you're hearing don't eat much protein, keep it moderate, and there's some truth to that. But get it out of your mind that if you have too much protein, your body's going to go right to gluconeogenesis and your body's going to make sugar. That is a demand-driven process, not a supply-driven process. So just because you have more protein in your system doesn't mean you're going to convert it to sugar and kick you out of ketosis. There's a lot of truth to making sure you're getting adequate amounts of protein so that way your body keeps the belly fat down. Several studies suggest that people who consume the highest amount of protein are the least likely to have excess belly fat. And not only that, animal studies have found that low levels of protein stimulate a hormone known as neuropeptide Y, or NPY, which leads to increased appetite and promotes belly fat. So if you're keeping your protein levels down, you're going to be causing the secretion of neuropeptide Y, which is going to increase your appetite. It's one of our ways to do it. Protein is actually very satiating and it's very satisfying. So you're going to want to eat as much protein with the fat so that way your body gets used to, once again, burning fat for fuel, but at the same time it keeps your body and your hunger levels down. By taking in more fat and more protein, you're not going to be as hungry and you're not going to be stimulating neuropeptide Y, which is going to increase your appetite. Next, menopause. Now, a lot of ladies, as you start to go through menopause, you start to lower your estrogen levels. As you lower your estrogen levels, what happens is you start to increase dramatically your levels of belly fat accumulation, not just anywhere. When you still had normal amounts of estrogen prior to menopause, you used to be able to put it on your thighs or your hips, things like that. But what happens is when your estrogen levels drop, it's been linked to causing belly fat, not just, like I said, anywhere else, but more on your belly. So what helps with this is as you're starting to get towards menopause, you really want to make sure you're making your dietary and lifestyle changes so that way once you hit menopause, you're okay, or at least you'll have a leg up. Now, for ladies who are already into menopause and you're wondering, what do I do now at this point? The ketogenic diet is going to be your answer. Now, go back and watch a previous video I also did on the Keto-Terranean, which is the ketogenic diet and a combination of the Mediterranean diet. Now, not that the Mediterranean diet is that much different, except for the fact that you have some grains and things like polenta and corn and so on. But what I did was by combining the two, I took the best foods that are on the Mediterranean diet, the ones with the greatest longevity, and they also happen to overlap with the foods on the keto diet. So it's a great, great combination and a great fit. If you start to do that kind of diet leading into menopause or even when you're in it, you're going to be a whole lot better. Next, the wrong gut bacteria. Now, I can't stress this enough. This is something that we all, because so many of us are on a standard American diet. We don't eat enough probiotics. We don't eat enough fermented vegetables. We don't eat enough foods that have the bacteria in it or the probiotics and the prebiotics. Prebiotics, many of you are going, what is that? I never heard of prebiotic. But prebiotic is what the bacteria eat. So, for example, things like kimchi. Kimchi has cabbage in it, and bok choy, kale, things like that are the prebiotic. In other words, what does the bacteria feed off of? Well, you've got to have healthy gut bacteria. Now, there's two main types of gut bacteria. Now, there's a whole lot of other ones, but the two main ones that have a lot to do with how your body is processing your foods is Firmicutes and Bacteroidetes. Now, it turns out Firmicutes, if you have more of that, which is not a good bacteria, you want your ratio of good to bad bacteria to be 85% good to 15% bad. When you have too much of this Firmicutes, what it causes is your body to then absorb a lot more of the calories from your food rather than being passed through. So people who are obese tend to have a lot more Firmicutes in their system, which once again, this type of bacteria may increase the amount of calories that are absorbed and that you'll absorb from your food. Now, if you have more Bacteroidetes, that's this one right here, this one does the exact opposite. It lets the food pass through without absorbing as much. So you can, if your diet's mainly this, you're going to be a lot leaner. So people who are higher in Bacteroidetes tend to be a lot more leaner. Now, you can get this from kimchi, kefir, yogurt, things like that. But I love the fermented vegetables because I want to make sure that I'm getting all the vitamins, all the B vitamins. And anytime you ferment vegetables, the bacteria helps to get the nutrients out a lot better. So I love having fermented vegetables. My kids don't like it so much because it smells around the house. But things like that are absolutely outstanding at making sure that your bacteria flora, which are inside your intestines, what we call your microbiome, is as healthy as possible. Stress, that plays a major role. Now, why does it play such a major role? Well, because stress increases cortisol production. And we all know the research is out that cortisol production will increase your amount of belly fat. So this is one of the big reasons you want to make sure that you're trying to do as many stress or de-stressing exercises as possible. You want to make sure you're meditating, doing things to alleviate your stress because stress is absolutely linked because of elevated cortisol levels to increased belly fat. Next, not enough fiber. Now, once again, fiber is extremely important when it comes to intestinal motility, making sure the bacteria are fed. The bacteria, once again, this is all prebiotics. So it turns out that fiber can help you feel full, stabilize hunger hormones, and reduce calorie absorption from food. In fact, in a study of 1,114 men and women, soluble fiber intake was associated with reduced abdominal fat. So once again, the studies are showing this. You've got to get fiber into your system. Now, how do I get fiber in? There's lots of different ways, but the one way I do it is not with grains, not with rice, not with pasta or cereal. I know you're thinking, but I got to have my whole wheat bread, Dr. Nick. That's where my doctor says I get my fiber. I need my oatmeal. No, you don't need it from that at all. There's plenty of fiber in vegetables. That's where you want to get it because you've got all the great minerals, all the great nutrients, all the great vitamins, but at the same time, extremely low carb. You want to keep it low carb. Now, another thing you could do is add things like psyllium husk powder. You can get that in powder form. You just add it to any of your beverages. You want to add it to a smoothie in the morning. Just make sure you drink it pretty quickly because psyllium husk powder will start to thicken up. Also to collagen, right? You want to make sure you're getting enough collagen. That's great for your gut also. And last but not least, Not enough sleep. All right, this is a huge one. This one goes right back with the cortisol levels. You want to make sure you're getting enough sleep. And I could tell you, like I said, my blood sugar was going up, like I mentioned earlier, because I wasn't getting enough sleep. And you want to get the sleep to let your body defrag and start making growth hormone. A study of over 68,000 women for 16 years found that those who slept 5 hours or less per night were 32% more likely to gain 32 pounds than those who slept at least 7 hours. So once again, if you're not getting enough sleep, you are going to start to put on belly fat. So that is the key, guys. Get more sleep. Do all the other tips I gave you in this video, and you're going to absolutely start to reduce that belly fat. I know you're thinking, well, maybe it's just genetics. My daddy had it. My mom had this. No, no, no. You're causing it yourself, so don't blame your parents for your genes. There's something called epigenetics, which means your lifestyle determines what genes are expressed or not. Well, anyway, guys, I hope this is great information for you. And if it was, please make sure you like, you share, you comment, and subscribe. And like I said, click that little bell notification so you're notified every single time I put a video out. I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your support. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.